Single biggest reason you're not getting promoted to project manager isn't a missing skill. It's actually the person sitting in the seat above yours. Your manager benefits quietly and structurally from you staying exactly where you are, and until you understand why, no amount of harder work, longer hours, or extra certifications is going to change that. Today I'll show you what's actually happening and the 4 moves that work around it. Now, if you're interested in becoming a project manager, learning how real IT projects are run, and building actual project management experience, then why not join us inside the Eddy system on School. It's a practical space for people who want to stop just watching project manager content and actually start practicing. There's a community tab for conversations, networking, and real PMO activity, a calendar tab with live phase gate sessions every Monday and Thursday, and a classroom filled with training, PM tools, and resources to land a job. There's also a simulation platform where students pick realistic IT projects, make decisions, create deliverables, and move their projects forward. On the screen there's a link, or you can simply click the link in the description of this video and we'll see you inside. Some quick context, guys. I've been an IT project manager for about 8+ years, and I've helped over 100 people break into project management, many of them after years of trying to get promoted internally and getting blocked. The first 10 or so people that I work with all had the same story. They've been doing PM level work for 2 or 3 years, applying for internal PM roles and getting passed over. Every time the explanation from their manager was some version of, hey, you're not quite ready yet. And it took me way longer than it should have to see what was really going on. It wasn't that any of these people were unqualified. It was that their managers had structural reason, sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious, to keep them in their current role. Once I start helping people work around that pattern instead of through it, the promotion timelines start to collapse. Not by a little, by years. So here's the trap, guys. Most aspiring project managers assume their direct manager is their advocate. That logic feels obvious. Your manager hired you and your manager believes in you and wants to see you succeed. Your manager writes your reviews. So your manager is a person who decides whether you move up or not. So you do what feels logical. You work harder, you take on more work, you over deliver, you ask for more responsibility, and then you wait for the promotion to come, but it doesn't come, or it comes much later than it should. And you ask why, and your manager tells you, hey, you're not quite ready yet, or that there's a timing issue, or the timing's not right now, or that there's no headcount yet, or that they need you in your current role for now. And then you believe them and you go back to working harder, and years pass by, and here's what's actually happening. Your manager is being graded on whether their team performs, and their team performs when reliable, hardworking, capable people stay in their roles where they get the work done. And so that description fits you exactly. That's why you're not getting promoted. Your manager promoting you doesn't help your manager. It actually hurts your manager. They lose a top performer. They have to backfill the role. They have to onboard somebody new who probably won't be as good as you for at least a year. And so the team's metrics are going to drop in the meantime. And so you leaving their team is actually a problem for the business. So that's not their goal. That's not your manager's goal. And unfortunately, that's the structural reality that nobody tells you about. And so the harder you work, the more locked into your current role you actually become, because the more valuable you are, the more your manager loses by letting you go. So here's like the core principle that I want you guys to take away here that can actually help you fix this. You cannot rely on your direct manager to be the engine of your promotion. You can rely on them as a sponsor sometimes. You can rely on them as like a permission giver. Maybe sometimes they can even be someone who can recommend you for a role, but you cannot wait for them to advocate for you. The incentives are too misaligned for that to be a reliable strategy. What works instead is building visibility, relationships, and demonstrated capability outside of your direct manager's silo. So that's the next move. You stop trying to convince one person whose career suffers when you advance, and you start building the case in front of other people who don't lose anything when you move up. That can sound kind of cynical, but it isn't. It's just an honest read of how organizations actually work today. Your direct manager is one person. The decision to promote someone, especially into a PM role, almost always involves more than one person. Your job is to make sure that those other people know who you are and what you can do. And so let me show you 4 specific moves that can help you build that visibility without ever putting you in conflict with your manager. So the first move that I recommend that you can do to help you move up is probably the most simplest. Your direct manager controls your work inside their silo, but they don't control work that crosses other silos. So you can actually volunteer for other work. Cross-functional projects are how senior leaders meet you without your manager being the gatekeeper. So when marketing needs help on a launch, or when product runs a discovery initiative, when operations needs someone to coordinate a rollout, that's where you can raise your hand. The work doesn't have to be glamorous. It just has to be visible to people outside your manager's chain. Every cross-functional project is an opportunity for someone 2 levels up in a different department to see you operate. 2 or 3 of those done well will produce upward mobility than 2 or 3 years of internal performance reviews ever will. The second move is uncomfortable for most people, which is exactly why it works. But be cautious when you're using this. This is where you actually go to your manager's manager and you talk to them. So they actually have a different incentive structure than your direct manager. They're not optimizing for whether their team performs. They're optimizing for whether the broader organization performs, which means moving talent around, identifying high potential people, and building bench depth. You should be on their radar. Most people aren't. And so the way to do this isn't to undermine your current manager. It's to ask for time once or twice a year for legitimate reasons. Career advice, insight into where the organization is going, feedback on something cross-functional you've been working on. Most skip levels will respect that move. They take the meeting, they remember who showed up, and the next time a PM role opens up somewhere in their broader organization, your name comes up in a conversation. Your manager isn't even part of it, and you could end up getting the role. So remember to use this one with caution. You don't want to undermine your current manager, but if you can get FaceTime with your manager's manager and show them what you're capable of, they can potentially help you move up. Now, the third thing you can do to help you to advance your career is the one most people resist. You apply for PM roles outside your company, even if you are not sure that you want to leave, even if you don't have a clear plan to switch yet. 2 things happen when you do this consistently. 1, you find out very quickly what the actual market thinks of you. The interviews you get, the offers you get, the conversations you have with hiring managers and other people in the industry, those are real-time data on your worth. Internal performance reviews are not. So number 2, you also build leverage. The moment you have a real extended offer in your hand, your manager's incentive structure flips. Suddenly, keeping you in your current role costs more than promoting you, because losing you entirely is worse for their team's metrics than backfilling your role internally. Most people who get promoted internally to PM roles got there because they had an external offer first. That's not a coincidence. That's the system working as designed. And then 4th thing that you can do is probably the most powerful and most overlooked. Find a project your manager doesn't directly own and just run it. It can be like a side initiative, a volunteer effort within the company, a cross-team rollout that's currently being neglected. Anything where you can kind of just step in and just take ownership and produce the deliverables that end up in front of senior leaders without your manager having to kind of step in or filter or anything. This is a move that gets you out of the potential PM and into is already running PM level work territory. Senior leaders evaluate based on what they see, not what your manager describes in a performance review. When you've personally led a visible initiative they care about, you stop being one of many capable team members and start being the obvious answer the next time a PM role opens. So pair this up with the first 3 moves that I've shared above, and you've built a complete escape route from your current role, from the manager as a blocker pattern in your current situation. Quick story for you guys. A guy I worked with last year had been stuck in a senior analyst role for about 4 years. He was pretty smart. He was reliable. He was able to do PM level work, but he was getting passed up for every internal promotion. His manager kept telling him he wasn't ready yet. And so we mapped out what was actually happening. His manager wasn't blocking him out of malice. She just had no incentive to lose a top performer. And so once he saw that, the strategy became obvious. He volunteered for cross-functional initiatives inside his organization. He had 2 coffees with his manager's manager. He started taking external interviews, not aggressively, but just consistently. And he picked up a side project for the operations team that nobody else wanted to run. And 8 months later, he actually had 2 external offers and an internal promotion to a project manager role, and at a salary roughly 30% higher than what his manager had been telling him. Now, remember, his manager wasn't a villain. The system just doesn't promote people who only optimize through their manager. So keep that in mind. leverage the 4 moves here, and I'll recap them here quickly for you. First move is volunteer for cross-functional work outside of your manager's silo. Move number 2 is build a relationship with your skip level manager, meaning your manager's manager. And the third is to apply externally, even if you don't really plan to leave your current company. Number 4, run a project your manager doesn't own. And again, none of these are about going around your manager in a hostile way. They're about building visibility, leverage, and demonstrated capability with people outside their direct line of sight. So if you've been waiting for your managers to advocate for you, stop. They're not your enemy, but they're also not the engine to get you promoted. If you actually want to run real PM level project work in an environment where the visibility builds your portfolio instead of disappearing into someone else's performance review, that's what my live PMO is built for. Link is in the description below. And also drop a comment with how long you've been waiting for that promotion. I'm curious to know your situation. I do read all the comments, so drop it in the comment below. Maybe I might even respond to some of you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.